slightly away from transfer, although it's connected. Omar Berrada, the CEO of Manchester United, Mark, has said on Project 150. So to people that don't know, Project 150 is marking 150 years of Manchester United. It says we finished 15th and it seems impossible, but why not aim for that? I firmly believe we can achieve it. We have 2 to 3 summer transfers window to build a team to start being competitive to win the Premier League, because part of Project 150 is Man United winning the Premier League by 2028.
Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I know they're going to be different to yours. Mine is, I don't like them sharing this publicly. I'm not someone who moans about not hearing from the owners and the strategy. I kind of don't want it out there because it leads to scrutiny if you don't achieve it, right? You know, when you tell people I'm going to achieve X, if you fall short, you get ridiculed. However, I expect us by the 27-28 season to be challenging. Is in I expect Berrada and to Jim and I expect them to have built a team that's good enough to challenge. Why? Arsenal competed and challenged in their 4th year of their rebuild. We all expect Chelsea to push for the title next year. They're going into their fourth year. So is it realistic? Doesn't feel like it right now after coming 15th. But I don't expect us to go, it's going to take, our target is to challenge for the title in 2030, 2031. I think they have to set themselves I think they have to set themselves a higher bar here. This season and our progression in it, I think will dictate whether that's plausible of winning it, what will be 2 years later. But I expect us to have goals like this because it's the expectations we all as Man United fans put on Arsenal's and Chelsea's and our other rivals. So I don't see why we would have a different one in terms of a standard to try and achieve.
I mean, Darren says being outraged at being ambitious is strange. It's not that, mate, because there is a different opinion to Terry, and I'm not saying Terry's opinion's wrong, but I and many other United fans are just tired of this nonsense. We had Ed Woodward say it. We've had Richard Arnold say it. It's always we're going to win the league in 3 years, and things always get worse. And hopefully this is going to be different. But I think Omar Berrada, again, doesn't understand this football club, and this is why we've just had a really, really bad year. There's been so many mistakes. Like, I don't agree that you can build a Premier League winning side by sacking half your workforce. I think that's going to bite us at some point. It's just impossible to work on that level of efficiency. And it's basically cost cutting, which will hurt us at some point. It certainly damaged the morale of the football club, which could take 18 months to 2 years to turn around, because behind the scenes, people are not happy, so much so that the captain of the club seriously sent his agent to Saudi to consider leaving. We've just had our worst ever Premier League season. We've just been beaten by Spurs in the Europa League final. We are massively in debt. And on the same morning that we get news that Berrada's planning to win the title in basically 2 seasons, he's then allowing it to go out there that we're not selling one of the worst goalkeepers in the league. So I would love to believe that they have a strategy for us to win the Premier League in 2028. But I've heard it so many times over the last 12 years and things have got worse. And also the last 12 months have been the worst I've known as a Man United fan. So from where we are now, if he can win us the title in 2028, I will be starting a petition for him to have a statue in 2029, because I think he's talking miracles. I would rather, actually, he would have just sat there and said, I want to win the title in 2028, but it's irrelevant when we've just had a season like we've had. What we should be talking about is what we've got wrong. What we should be doing is putting our hands up and taking accountability and apologizing to our loyal supporters for what has happened over the last 12 months. And as CEO, I have to do that. And what I actually want to do is talk about the next 12 months and say that if we're not in the Champions League in 12 months, that is the aim, because that money will then allow us to be more competitive in the summer transfer window next year and help us build towards winning a title, hopefully in 2028 or soon after. But all we ever get, Terry, is in 3 years' time, we're going to win the title. And it's like, look at what's happening at this football club. I'd rather we had like a 6-month or a 12-month strategy rather than basically we've fallen down the mountain. We've broken every bone in our body. We need urgent medical attention. What's your first words? We're going to get back up on the mountain. It's just too big a leap. And I think some people will go, I like the ambition, and that's great. And some people like myself will look at it and go, "Oh, shut up," and start doing what really needs to happen.
So this is the thing for me. I want us to have this ambition. Equally, if I'm internal to the club, if I'm Sir Jim, there has to be a goal like this. I would set it in my own businesses. If someone comes in and goes, Terry, I'm going to run your Instagram account. If I'm paying them, say, I don't know, 25 grand a year base salary, I'm setting them a target to go. We're on 40,000 followers. I'm setting them a target. I want to grow by 50,000 a year. Someone say that's over ambitious. I'm like, well, I think that's a good level of growth. It's only 150 new followers a day. I'm going to set a target. If they agree to it, I'm going to hold them to that. If they don't achieve it by a long way, they're gone as an example. So I think you need targets and you need milestones so that you can hold people to account. Because if it's wishy-washy, if there's no expectation, you can just keep kicking the can down the road. And I actually think, my guess this is that is what the internal goings on were like for a long time at the club. It's why Woodward survived 8-9 years after failing without being dismissed, because no CEO should be able to run a club, take us backwards, stop challenging for league titles, waste money on transfers, and then be rewarded with bonuses and shares and pay rises. However, where I agree with you is I don't want this to be public. This is where I think fans do this whole, we need to know what's going on. We don't, because actually the inner goings on and the detail that gives it clarity, you would never want them to share it. You wouldn't do it, would you, Mark? You wouldn't. Me and you wouldn't have an idea about a show and then sit down and tell the world what we're going to do. We'd keep it internal because there's loads of different reasons as to why. So I do get where you're coming from. I don't want them to speak about any of this. I just want them to do it. I don't want them putting a target on our back, although internally they should have it. So I agree with going public. It's frustrating. It's always words, but he's put it out there now. So at the very least, we've got a yardstick to judge him by. And if we're not anywhere near competing, there can be no excuses, because that's the goal they've set.
I want to live in the world that Jamie Jenkins lives in, because he said it's not 2 seasons to win it in 2028. It works out to be 5. Which I just want to live in that world. In what way is 2028 5 years? What I meant is you've got next season, 25-26. You've got the second season, 26-27. And in the third season, that's the one you're winning it. So you've got to be winning in August, September to win the title in at 28. So it's 2 seasons, because the third season, you don't win it in May, you win it in the August and the September. So he's got 2 seasons to build a title winning side. Talking out his arse.
Well, as Mark here says, has Berrada shot himself in the foot by giving the time frame? Surely he's just signed his resignation for 2028. Well, his quote says, and we'll put it back on the screen for everybody to see, aim is to win the title. What he has said is that we have 2 or 3 summer transfer windows to build a team that is starting to be competitive to win the Premier League. Obviously, the project is to try and win it. And I think, look, if we were in a league title race 27-28, narrowly miss out, I don't think anybody's going to be calling. Yeah, no one's going to be calling for his resignation. But where you're on the point here, Mark, is, and I'm talking Mark, both Marks, is he has put a target on his back. That element I like from a professional standpoint. I look at it as a professional and think, you know what, fair play. You've now your flag to the mast. As a United fan, I would rather us move more in silence. I hated when Woodward did the whole, we can do things in the market no one else can. That's what's led to us wasting 300, 400 million, overpaying for players for over a decade. I don't want any of that talk. I don't want any of that kind of conversation publicly. Keep it internal, but maintain those standards. And so you get things like this. Terry is Berrada the owner's mouthpiece. Partly.
That's my burner, that is. I was typing while you were talking. I just didn't want you to notice. You can't see my arms. My arms are typing.
It could be. I mean, yeah, he is to an extent. Of course, he is to an extent because he's employed by them. So he is partly their mouthpiece. But yeah, let's see what happens. At the end of the day, we've said it all along. It's like the redundancies. I think we'll see in 2 years' time. Did we get rid of essential staff to be cheap, or did we get rid of a bloated workforce? I feel the commercial performance...
A bit of both, probably.
A bit of both. But I just always feel that the commercial performance and the profitability, coupled with the more important element of what we do on the pitch, if we play better on the pitch, go up the league, become more competitive, continue to grow the revenues, then we'll know that the redundancies, as cruel as they may seem, were the right thing for the club. But if revenues continue to fall, if efficiencies at the club go down, if we don't improve, then we know it was a massive mistake and people lost their jobs. And look, he's put a target on his back. There's no doubt about it whatsoever on that.
I just would say this, though, because a few people talk about it, is that when he says, our plan is to win the title in basically 2 seasons' time, and then we're into one of those 2 or 3 transfer windows where he's got to make that happen, and you're so far behind, you can't be having a summer transfer window like this. Like, you've literally got to get every month of every window has got to be perfect. And already it's not. Like, we still haven't signed Mbeumo. We're on 3rd choice striker, which we don't know who it is, and we're keeping Onana. That's like, if you want to win the league, you've got to get it right now. And we're still kicking the ball down the road with, Onana's just not good enough. And he's here because we can't sell him. So you can't build towards winning a title in 2 or 3 years' time when you're not getting rid. We always kick the problems down the road. Lindelof was here for 8 years, until. And look, I want to see incomings, but one of the biggest problems at United for a decade has been outgoings. We don't remove players because players are more powerful. And Berrada is not more powerful than Andre. I didn't say this on United stand, so it's an exclusive. Omar Berrada sits there as CEO telling us what's going to happen. Andre Onana's got more power than Omar Berrada in that football club, because everybody knows United don't want Onana in goal, but Onana's decided he's staying and he's got more power than the CEO, who can't remove him. And if you've got a football club that's being run like that, because it doesn't happen at City, it doesn't happen at Chelsea, it doesn't happen at Liverpool, United ain't doing anything until they get control of the football club. And they can sack John from accounts and they can sack Carroll from marketing, but they can't sack players. They can't remove players because the players have got long contracts and big wages. And if they don't want to go, they're not going to go. And that could be Rasmus, that could be Mount, that could be Casemiro. We won't improve when the CEO is not running the ship. And the players still run the ship.
Yeah, and these are the things that he's got to do. Berrada and Wilcock and Vavel, they've got to find the right targets. They've got to remove players. And I heard something about Sancho the other day. That's obviously he doesn't want to leave without reducing his wages. There is a rumor that I've read that United still have an option to extend his contract. And for me, it's using that power to say, look, you can force a little loan move where we pay half your money, but then we're going to extend. Like, I almost want us to use a little bit of power and say, well, no, we're not going to. I'd almost rather. I know we haven't got a lot of money, but I would almost rather go, do you know what? We're not going to pay you 150 grand a year to go and play for Stuttgart. Do you know what we'll do? We'll extend your contract, right? Or we'll just keep you here. We'll either extend your contract and put you on a loan with an obligation to buy where you've got to agree terms now, or we'll just stick you with the reserves. We won't make you eat your lunch in a car. We won't treat you disrespectfully. You can train and everything else, but we'll just stick you in the reserves. Or I think we need to get a little bit tougher with these players in terms of them just saying, well, if I don't get exactly what I want, I'm just going to damage your prospects in the transfer window. I think if you made an example of a couple of players without being demeaning, if that makes sense. So what we did to him before by making him train with the under 16s, he couldn't go in the dressing room because of his age, making him eat his lunch in the car, that ain't punishment, that's cruelty. But you can just say, well, we're not going to sanction that, so you're going to have a whole year of not playing football. Yes, you get your money, but it ain't good for your career. And do it that way around, and let's see how we get on. I think we've got to try and be stronger. Patrick here says Berrada mentions summer transfer windows, but not January, so we'll be ignoring them again. Seems like, I don't know. Potentially. We bought someone in January. We made a lot of good loans. I think he just means years and see. I don't necessarily think it means we won't get anybody there, but that's just me. Good morning, guys. I come late after Mark's live video. Berrada has just signed his death certificate with Onana. Question though, is Mbeumo really any closer from any of Mark's special sources? Do you feel the deal's close? Are you worried potentially that Spurs may come in?
I love these special sources because I don't have a special source. I have a source that has been very accurate about stuff from Manchester United. Delap was the priority. We thought we were going to get him. He went to Chelsea because we didn't win the Europa League final. Garnacho is going to leave. Yoro did start in the final. We're not talking to Semenyo. And as of last Sunday, not the Sunday just gone, we were red hot on Gyökeres. So